Firstly, location, right? The obvious answer here is to go with the closed Chuck E. Cheese location. Chuck E. Cheese recently has closed 34 locations across the US, with locations closing in California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wisconsin. So, any of these locations could be used as a potential first location at the very least, with some states having multiple closures. Buying one of these locations would be expensive, and online I couldn't find any real reports on how much it would be. You'd have to work that out with Chuck E. Cheese. However, to open and operate a Chuck E. Cheese location would range from $1.17 million to $1.83 million, with a franchise fee of $800,000, according to Chuck E. Cheese's section of franchisehelp.com. So assuming the higher end of the price range, this would require an investment of around $2.63 million. Not taking into account that these locations are closed and they're probably just looking to break even on it and maybe not make money. But which state should we be selecting? Well, looking on Google Trends, we can actually see what states search for Five Nights at Freddy's the most. Looking for the search term Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, since that would be the name of the location, we see Virginia searching it the most over the past 12 months as of April 2021, followed by Florida, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Texas in that order. Comparing that to our list of states, Virginia is the state with the highest search and has a close location in Fredericksburg. And I don't know about you, but the fact that it's in Fredericksburg, like Freddy, that seems like fate to me. But there is also the thought of Florida, who is the second most searched and is only slightly less searched, so it's like a close second, and has multiple Chuck E. Cheese restaurants closed, located in Miami, North Lauderdale, Miami Gardens, and Green Acres, so there is room for expansion. Florida is also a popular tourist spot thanks to the Disney park in Orlando, where I would go with my family. I think we've went 2 or 3 times. So it's probably a better idea to go with Florida's Miami location, even though Orlando and Miami aren't really that close, but it's still centralized, okay? And everything's open in Florida, so you can start work on it right away. So the Miami Chuck E. Cheese location is the first one to be bought by Scott Cawthon. What would it look like? Well, many fan creations always make it appear the same as just a normal Chuck E. Cheese, but replacing the logo and text. Probably the most famous one being the image used in MatPat's old FNAF theories. But we could take this one step further. Since the inside of the restaurant is already seen in-game, we can take that same design concept and just convert it to real life. I feel like that's pretty obvious. With the red and black squares along the wall, potentially outlined with additional decoration. You would also need to either replace or repaint the tables and booths and stuff like that, along with replacing the posters on the wall and the banners hanging above. The purple would also be changed to another color, most likely red, or maybe more of the red and black square pattern we see along the walls in the first couple games. The animatronics, if included, could easily be updated with Freddy, Chica, and Bonnie designs. Well, I mean easy in comparison to everything else that needs to be done. And once that's done, you just need to replace the songs that play out of the speakers, and then boom, you got working stage shows. I don't know if Foxy would need to have his own section, or if you'd want to add that off to the side, or if you want to use the kind of separate stage that's on some of the Chuck E. Cheese stages. I don't know, it depends on the location, if it actually has one. But other than that, that's just more construction work. Now, what makes this different than your typical kids play joint, you ask? Well, it does actually have the FNAF characters, not infringing on copyright because Scott would be doing this all himself. There is another aspect of the place that I think would make this even more unique and bring in more sales. FNAF is a horror franchise after all, and for some reason a whole load of these kids love being scared crapless by the many animatronics. So why shouldn't this location offer a spooky surprise for anyone willing to come after dark? Much like how Security Breach will have a day and night cycle, why not let the restaurants have the same? Where instead of closing at 9 p.m., they swap to a creepy and horror-themed joint where the kids can come to get scared while eating pizza and playing games. The lights can flicker, you have people dressed up, like a year-round haunted house. We could even get some of the games we see in Pizzeria Simulator, like Fruity Maze and Midnight Motorist, in real physical arcade machines. All you need is a TV monitor. People do it all the time on YouTube. It would actually be an incredible idea that would suck in a lot more people and increase profits late into the night. This also works for adults who are fans of the series, who may not want to deal with the children and the kid-friendly atmosphere that the location would have during the day. This time frame would feature actors in the FNAF suits, but not Springlock suits because, well, we all know how that ends. But this would be just like a Halloween haunt for our Canadian friends, or whatever Disney does. It's like Halloween Horror Nights or whatever it's called over there. People in costumes who can't touch but aim to scare, maybe jiggling some doors or hiring actors working as kids or patrons who get lured away, maybe even making a Nightmare Fredbear suit. There is so much that you can do. Oh, you can have like Foxy slowly peek out from behind it unless someone like looks or something like that. You can have him slowly peek out and then you can... Ah! Eventually, of course, you could expand, opening more Fazbear locations at the other closed Chuck E. Cheese's. And I feel like Chuck E. Cheese would be down for that too, because the resulting competition could help boost their sales as well, since there would be kids who don't want to go to a horror-themed joint at night, but have a newly ignited or rediscovered joy for pizzeria arcades and animatronic bands. And hell, even as a joke, you could open up Chica's Party World, because we all know that Scott's gonna have some form of like ARG with these locations if this is actually a thing. Scott, I have an idea for that too. Hit me up. The menu would serve pizza, obviously, but also themed meals like Chica's Chicken Wings or Bonnie's Breakfast for Dinner, since, you know, eggs. Maybe Foxy's Flapjacks. It will definitely use a little work, but I'm honestly thinking it would taste and look incredible, both the menu and the food respectively. I have a design in mind, but let's be honest, I can't show my whole hand, can I? No, I actually gotta leave some stuff to actually hopefully make this a thing. So, cause you know, if there's some mystery, Scott might actually like, you know, cause we all know how he loves mystery. The menu is simple, since it's on a monitor and needs to be seen at a distance, with a red border and simple sans serif text describing the various dishes and listing prices, with images of the dishes of the 4 major characters on each of the screens: Freddy's Pizza, Chica's Chicken Wings, Bonnie's Breakfast for Dinner, and Foxy's Ultimate Nachos. I was going to do Ultimate Fries, but kids are going to find nachos more exciting than fries, even if the whole alliteration thing makes sense. And while the horror events are focused on adults, the majority of the fan base and patrons are going to be children. Hopefully not missing ones. Obviously, you can also offer alcoholic beverages like beer and perhaps margaritas for the parents of the kids during the day, and all the adults that will be coming in during the horror nights. More on that later. But other than that, it's a fairly straightforward menu. The menu has to be simple for the kids and anyone looking from a distance, and this is the kind of stuff I actually went to school for. I went over the interior design in the last part briefly, but only offered ideas instead of actually providing examples. So let's do that. Like I said last time, I think the purple sections of the wall should be replaced with red and black squares like we see in the original maps. And the white and black squares with the red outlines on the walls should go around the joint as well. We've seen the interior in the first few games, so we might as well just recreate something similar. The booths could just be repainted, or they could be separated into sections based on what animatronic is your favorite. Same with the party tables, with sections for Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy, with posters for each characters indicating those sections, as well as banners to indicate it overhead so you can see it at a glance. The stage may come with a separate section for Foxy known as the Galaxy stage for Chuck E. Cheese, which would easily be converted into Pirate's Cove. It's already a circle, you just put up a curtain. And at 10th, Fazbear's Fright. Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction, is the name of the fictional location in which FNAF 3 takes place. The attraction is a replica of the old Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, or a replica, located inside an amusement park, meant to revive the decades-old legend that surrounded the establishment. Outfitted with old animatronic parts and suits, as well as dim lighting and true-to-life decor, patrons would walk through the building like a haunted house, reliving the nightmare of 30 years ago. Fazbear's Fright consists of a collection of hallways and the office, along with several large vents. Any of these areas can be viewed by the use of the monitor, which is located on the right side of the office. The establishment also appears to be quite large and well funded, boasting 15 cameras, which can view both the hallways and vents, not to mention multiple vintage animatronic heads and suits, including several seemingly authentic remains from both the first and second game's pizzerias. It's also assumed that it is the second Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location, like the second one in total, not the second game, since it was the building that William was locked in. Now, I'm not down for scary stuff, especially stuff where I can actually die, but if you make it safer, then I would actually be down for like a haunted house like thing. I'd be down for that. And at 9, Monty's Gator Golf. Now, not only do I want this to be playable in Security Breach because I want to play mini golf with animatronics like I've been saying for like 2 years, I just also want like another mini golf course. That'd be fun. I mean, like, this doesn't seem like anything original. Like, it's a black light neon mini golf course with an alligator theme. I can go to Niagara Falls or even downtown Toronto to find one of these. But the sheer scope of this area with all the animatronics that it has, like crocodiles coming out and stuff and whatnot, is absolutely insane. If someone put this much effort into a mini golf course, I think we would all be going there instead of these other indoor mini golf places. This place would be so packed that they'd get fined for violating regulations even back in 2017. Like, that's how beautiful this place is. It's unfortunate that at least from what I've seen, you can't actually play mini golf, or maybe you can't play it until later on in the story, but nonetheless, it's certainly a beautiful thing to look at, so I would love this in real life. And at 8, Roxy's Raceway. Roxy's Raceway is a large indoor go-kart track at one of the many locations inside of Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. It appears in FNAF Security Breach, and the hallway leading up to the area is decorated with speakers, tires, trophies, and motorcycles. The raceway itself is a Wild West themed go-kart track decorated with neon purple lights, because that's kind of her thing. The Glam Rock Beauty Salon is also located here, but in my hometown we have a place called Neb's Fun Roll, and actually it's kind of like the Mega Pizzaplex in a lot of ways, but instead of animatronics, it's focused on bowling. But they also had a go-kart track, much like Roxy's Raceway, and honestly, I never got the chance to try it from what I remember at least. I begged, but I never could. So if Roxy's Raceway was real, you know damn well I'd be the first there, and I wouldn't have any mercy. You think you're gonna get ahead of me? Just wait, I brought banana peels from home. Just try and cross me. See where you end up. Oh, you're a 6-year-old kid? Who cares? Do you think I do? You clearly don't. Fazbear has a horrible reputation for kids. Your parents probably brought you here so that they wouldn't have to deal with your whining anymore. So I'm gonna do it for them. And at 7, Burn Trap. Burn Trap is higher on this list because while some people may consider him a waste in Security Breach, it was certainly a surprise. We figured that Afton would come back, as he always does. However, we never thought that he would actually come back like this. We figured that there would be more ceremony to a resurrection. However, Burn Trap was certainly not expected, or at least I didn't expect a new form of Afton to appear. I figured that we'd have Scrap Trap or even Glitch Trap, but no. During the fight against him, Burn Trap walks between 3 different rooms on the other side of the underground pizzeria. Gregory has to watch for which room Burn Trap is currently in, and then press the corresponding button when he attempts to take control of Glam Rock Freddy. Doing so causes the room to erupt into flames and hurts him because, you know, fire, and his stops the corruption attempt. Failure to do so, and in time, Glam Rock Freddy's eyes will turn purple, making him hostile towards Gregory, and then you'll probably die. But you know what? I'm damn glad he's not real, because that would have way too many implications. And I already have a hard enough time trying to figure out the mysteries of FNAF. I don't need to try and figure out the mysteries of the universe as well. So, yeah, or even the multiverse, because that's how Burn Trap would be here. So, yeah, no thanks. And at 8, Circus Baby. Circus Baby is one messed up mamma jamma. I mean, don't get me wrong, some specific kids make me get William's whole MO, but the fact that he made these robots, especially the Fun Time, specifically to kill, and then the first kid they kill is his own daughter, that's some serious karma. But considering how horrific Baby becomes after this, thanks to Elizabeth, I feel like she may have had it coming. Girl was a lot more like her father than she should have been, in all honesty. While yes, crushing any kid would have been bad, I mean, like, your creator's daughter, seriously? Like, come on, bro. Was there no way to blacklist William? You have the animatronics that can walk on their own with advanced AI, facial recognition technology, sound discs that can change what things look like, but you can't make a goddamn program that says do not kill these kids, they come from me. Like, bro, if you ask me, you had it coming. Who tells their kids not to do something especially expecting them to listen? Seriously, dude, William is stupid, but this was still a messed up thing to do, so I'm glad that this isn't real until the kids start screaming in my hall again, and then I wish Baby was real. Halfway through, in at number 5, RWQFSFASXC. Shadow Bonnie makes an appearance in FNAF 2, but is more so a main character in FNAF 3, where the character makes an ultimate appearance as a glitched out game character, and as a statue that you need to click on to enable the glitched minigame. It's weird, okay? Shadow Bonnie has also made an appearance in the FNAF AR game. This character has been everywhere. RWQFSFASXC is just a pitch black version of Toy Bonnie with glowing eyes and teeth. It's pretty weird when you think about it, and in all honesty, it doesn't really make sense, but who knows, alright? It's Shadow Bonnie. No matter, being just a void of pitch black energy can make any animatronic scary, and honestly, we don't know how Shadow Bonnie came into being. There are some theories that it was someone who got spring locked in the suit before Afton, or that somebody got killed, but we don't know for sure, and that makes it even scarier. Either way, I'm glad that this thing can't haunt me in real life, because I really do like lighting. I like electricity. Yeah, if Shadow Bonnie was real, I would be rough. I'd be in a rough spot. Honestly, streaming would be difficult. In it for Gregory. Honestly, I'm actually scared of Gregory. The knowledge that this kid has exceeds even some of my own. This kid is the size of a 4-year-old, can fit inside Freddy, baby strollers, and other various small areas around the Pizzaplex. He's too small to drive one of the go-karts alone, but he knows how to restart generators, operate a trash compactor, start and drive a car, as well as identify a car battery, connect the jumper cables on that car battery properly, and then use those cables to fix Freddy's whole recharge every hour issue. How the living hell does that make any sense? Plus, Gregory is just a killer. This kid is easily able to destroy all 3 animatronics without a moment's hesitation and then use their upgrades on Freddy. He is willing to kill Vanny, like I said, despite actually seemingly knowing her, as we see in the best ending, and he burns Burn Trap multiple times in an attempt to stop him from taking control over Freddy. So what the absolute living hell is this kid doing, and how is he just so nonchalant about the whole thing? And the argument for self-defense doesn't count because I kept seeing that a lot, okay? Because self-defense requires the proper use of force against your attacker, and tearing someone to shreds using 6 animatronics is not proper force. It was so gory that they couldn't even show it in the comic for that ending. Like, Jesus! Getting close to the end in number 3, Circus Baby's Pizza World. Circus Baby's Pizza World was a location created by William Afton after the closing of the first Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The grand opening of Circus Baby's Pizza World was apparently cancelled due to reported gas leaks in the building. Sources close to the establishment questioned the report though, saying that the strange activity around the area at night suggested something else was to blame. One local is quoted by saying, "Everything just stopped. There was so much excitement built around the place opening, and then they just stopped talking about it. There was only a handful of people that ever got to look inside, kids from here and there, making sure everything worked right, you know? I guess they weren't quite as ready as they thought they were." A tenant from across the street claims to have witnessed a large group of cars surrounding the building during the night, and large pieces of equipment being taken out of the building under tarps, which is kinda weird. And a few weeks later, the building was for sale. And while Afton's daughter might have died due to the baby animatronic, I think it would have still been nice to have a Circus Babies to visit. Even if it was designed as a murder den, but like, hey, I can get over that. But ultimately, into number 2, Fall Fest. If you're unaware or just forget, the Fall Fest I'm referring to is the centerpiece of the FNAF VR Curse of Dreadbear DLC. The main hub for the Halloween themed area is the Fall Fest and sits outside what looks to be a farm. Many pumpkins and hay bales litter the area, and I mean they literally have a corn maze, and I feel like that's like a farm thing. And to the left, the player can find a tractor and a blood moon hanging in a green sky of all things. To the right, a barn can be seen, which is actually the location of the prize room for this mode, and behind the player is a small wooden stage with a banner over it reading Fall Fest 83, although I just want a Fall Fest any year. And a rusty car with headlights next to it. Behind the level select you can see a scarecrow, and way back in the distance a house on a hill that looks strikingly similar to the house featured in the menu for Five Nights at Freddy's 4. The blacklight mode switches the game between the standard menu and the blacklight menu, however there are no blacklight levels to play. This switch is just a way to actually activate Easter eggs. But I still want to have like a real FNAF Fall Fest in this world, so like, can we do that next year if the world allows it? Cause that's kind of dope. And finally, in at number 1, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I think that this was a pretty obvious number 1. I mean, everyone who knows FNAF and enjoys FNAF wants a real Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Well, aside from Scott, and ignoring the whole animatronic murder and possession thing, right? Actually, according to some very disturbing comments on previous videos, particularly those when we describe how a real Freddy Fazbear's could actually work, no, y'all want the murder too. Since multiple comments have stated that they want to get killed in the pizzeria so that they can then possess an animatronic, which is one of the reasons we don't have a real one, aside from Scott just not wanting to do it. Also, I mean, like, come on, if you want to die there, I'm sure that there is someone who wants to be a real William Afton, so like, they don't say it out loud. And you know it's not me because I express my desire to go on a rampage on a daily basis. But also, the whole wanting to die in a pizzeria thing is kinda counterproductive. Like, FNAF's possession revolves entirely around suffering agony, and that intense agony then reaching out to grab something nearby and take control of. But if you're content at dying in a Freddy's, then how could you be in agony? I mean, like, I guess the pain could be the cause, but it's the emotion of agony that does the possessing, not like the feeling of just being stabbed. So in order to fill your dream and possess something, you'd have to have it not be your dream. So all in all, 10 out of 10, don't recommend. Now, the Horror Nights are what I find the most interesting out of these new ideas, with maybe these happening once or twice a week instead of every night like I said last time, thinking logistically and knowing that most people won't want to work all the nights. 9 p.m. would be when they would normally close, so instead, how about closing for an hour while the team sets up for a special treat for all who dare to return. The restaurant could be lit with black lights, revealing blood stains on the wall along with handprints and maybe some text written in blood, or paint that shows up under a black light, and not during the day. The lights in the bathrooms could be flickering, and most of the arcade machines would be off, aside from any that make loud noises, distract well, or could scare you. Skee-ball, basketball, balloon popping for example, as well as any custom ones like the FNAF 6 Lore Keeper minigames, or if any of the 8-bit minigames from FNAF 2 were recreated. Obviously, they would include jump scares at the end. The food would be limited to whatever you wanted, probably taking away the breakfast for dinner, and you could have actors walking around in nightmare-themed suits with the animatronics programmed to make sudden movements, since they need to move to keep their servos from locking up, but they can't really walk around. The music that plays could be replaced with atmospheric and scary themed music, like what we use for our videos, with periodic screams and maybe a couple faded door shakes and calls from Phone Guy, making sure that Scott Cawthon makes an appearance in the first Freddy's location. This would be the first pizzeria to do something like this, as of my knowledge, and the possibilities are endless. It would be a great first date as long as you're both into it, and it would increase profits tenfold, basically turning the place into a diet bar with horror elements, keeping the place open until 2 a.m. when you have last call at 1 or 1:30. I don't know how bars work. I turned 19 and then I didn't really go to bars, and then the whole pandemic thing happened, so I can't really go to bars now. Yeah, I don't know how bars work. The arcade is probably the biggest reason anyone went to Chuck E. Cheese, the second being the recycled pizza conspiracy, and the third being because of the characters. However, the kids this time around will be coming for the FNAF characters and be staying for the arcade. The arcade could be filled with the normal games we see at normal Chuck E. Cheese's: skee-ball, whack-a-mole, basketball, knock-a-clown, all the rest. However, the biggest showstoppers could be FNAF-themed versions of these games. Whack-a-mole could be Whack-a-Mini-Rena, and Knock-a-Clown, you know, the one where you like throw the balls at the clown or like you throw them at his teeth, could be Popping Balloon Boy's balloons. There could be a photo booth that puts a nightmare animatronic or Springtrap behind the people in the booth for a real scare, and you could include custom games like Fruity Maze, Midnight Motorist, and Security Puppet. There are plenty of people who've made their own arcade cabinets. Take this one from the YouTube channel I Like to Make Stuff. Bob does an incredible job. And all Scott would really need to do is code full versions of these games. Oh no, a game dev having to code new games, so difficult. Actually, not even new games, games that he's already made, just full versions. The games would be incredibly popular and would result in high revenue since they wouldn't really provide tickets, so they'd just be spending coins to play real FNAF games, but getting nothing other than that in return so your prize counter doesn't lose anything. This is how the businesses think. They could also make machines for arcade versions of the original FNAF games, maybe having buttons that flip through cameras and you need to find Foxy before he gets to you or something along those lines. The prize counter could have a real version of the FNAF puppet box there, playing its signature music to provide a reason for why it's still closed. However, this could potentially be opened at night during the horror nights. If not, the person working at the prize counter could simply be dressed like the puppet. The prize counter could offer things similar to the one from Help Wanted, and offering signature items such as stuffed baskets of exotic butters, which have already been made by Funko. They could also offer FNAF Funko Pop figures, with rarer ones being valued higher, as well as potentially Switch and console versions of the games, along with the smaller prizes that are just meant to keep people from getting the big prizes by saving up. You know, the kids will impulse buy them. That's why they're there. This could also feature recreations of things like the Lore Keeper ending certificate, which you could potentially get by presenting something given to you after beating all 3 of the FNAF 6 games. You know, the ones in the custom cabinets I mentioned. There is way more we can talk about this, trust me. In a 10 Piranha Plush Trap. Piranha Plush Trap is Plush Trap's second skin in FNAF AR and the third skin in the Wicked Tides event. He was released on June 7, 2021 after being delayed by 3 days for unknown reasons. Alright, we made a community post about this one, and personally I think that this is one of the scariest FNAF AR skins ever added. Piranha Plush Trap is hardly like the original Plush Trap, but this one is much worse. Being made of a more organic flesh-like material, even having realistic gums, his mouth is littered with long, thin, sharp teeth, and his eyes are extremely small and glow an ocean blue. What the hell? On the sides of his head there are 2 glowing orange gills, and his feet glow that same orange. His hands also have orange webbing in between his fingers that stretches when they move, obviously that's what webbing does. And his ears are covered in small barnacles. And his mouth, stomach, and right leg, oh don't get me started, they're covered in algae. Finally, his body is covered in spikes, and his torso is split open to reveal his ribs. This thing is horrifying. I hope we get it in him in another game, not just special delivery, but I don't want him in real life. I would rather dig myself out of a hole with a rusty fork. Honestly. And at 9, Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy is a mysterious ghost-like entity that takes the form of a yellow animatronic bear. He plays a prominent role in the FNAF series, although his origins are cryptic and unknown. But many speculate that Crying Child, at least at one point, possessed the animatronic, which would be an easy confirmation to make in the movie, but I mean, oh well. On the other hand, many also believe that Golden Freddy is possessed by Cassidy, and that Cassidy is also the vengeful spirit, aka the one you should not have killed from Ultimate Custom Night, although in my research it is much more likely that Crying Child is the vengeful spirit and that Cassidy is the one that possesses Golden Freddy. Since firstly it makes for a better story, and in all honesty Cassidy has no significance to the greater story, or at least they have less significance than Crying Child. However, while confirmation for any explanation would be appreciated, I'm glad that this ain't real, alright? I don't need to be hallucinating, okay? I already see weird things enough, and these things are real, especially when I have to scroll through things for FNAF research, so I would rather not hallucinate, like posters changing, or someone saying it's me in front of me. I don't want that, alright? So, it's a good thing Golden Freddy isn't real, otherwise I would probably have already been put in an insane asylum, instead of them trying to. And at 8, Vanny. Vanny is possessed by the digital virus Glitch Trap, a form of the serial killer William Afton, and appears as the main antagonist of FNAF Security Breach. It's revealed in the Princess Quest minigames that she was actually the main protagonist of Help Wanted, where she was first corrupted by Glitch Trap. She also plays a role in FNAF AR Special Delivery. In Help Wanted, Vanny has some uncertainty in her voice when she was confronted about her task, implying that she, at first, wasn't fully ready to actually kill people. However, by the time the Security Breach came around, she seemingly has killed at least 9 people at the Pizzaplex, as seen in a newspaper article in The Bad Ending. However, that could also just be and Gregory, since one of the kids looks like him, meaning that those kids who have gone missing are just kids whose profiles got wiped out and aren't necessarily dead. In Security Breach, Vanny is also shown to have a sadistic personality hidden behind a childlike flamboyance. However, I still simp for Vanessa, and that's why I'm glad she's not real, because you know what this would be? You know that meme where it's like, Pennywise and he's like, oh, I got the Fortnite battle pass down here, and then Georgie climbs in. Yeah, it would be like that, except it would be Vanny, and she wouldn't have to say anything. All she has to do is be like, Vanessa, and I'd be like, oh, hello. Like, yeah. And at 7, Phaser Blast. Phaser Blast is one of the many locations inside of Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. I mean, like, some call it Phaser Blast, others call it Phaser Blast. Either way, I call it fun. I love laser tag. I grew up playing it, and if Coven wasn't a thing, I'd be a regular Barney Stinson, rocking it in this, and playing every other weekend in a suit. Laser tag is one of my favorite things because it's fun, active, and I get to take my anger out on children by shooting them with lasers. In my hometown, there was a place called Laser Extreme, okay? It was the pinnacle of laser tag, and it was my favorite place to go. I'd go with my friend Nick, and we'd wreck kids using like superheroes as code names. I'd go with my friend Cameron. That's where he got his nickname of Spike. Those were the days, man. It's unfortunately closed. I think it's because of COVID, but Laser Quest, my other option, kinda blows. Or at least the one I was going to was pretty garbage. The blasters didn't register half my hits. But being able to actually play against animatronics in the Mega Pizzaplex makes me so happy.
Laser tag! Yes! Yes, yes, yes!
Especially if we get like a VR port of this game, or like a VR fan game version of just specifically laser tag. I don't care about the rest of the game, just specifically laser tag in VR. I need that, please. And at 6, bedroom. Now honestly, the only reason I put the FNAF 4 bedroom on this list is because I'm tired and want to go to sleep, but also because the layout is freaking nuts for a kid's bedroom. Like, are you kidding me? The bedroom is a relatively large room. The walls of the room consist of the same blue design as the rest of the location, before splitting into a design that is like more like that of like the closet halfway down. Anyway, this room has 2 doors on either side, inside. The closet can be seen directly in front of you, with multiple shirts hanging on it. Like, the walls of the room are decorated, consisting of several stars and paintings. An air vent can be seen on the left wall, next to the door. In my apartment, I didn't have a vent in my room, okay? I had to have a giant AC. Next to the left door, there's a light switch. It's not ages away, like mine was. The ceiling, it's like a normal simple popcorn ceiling, but you know what? Still better than just flat. A toy caterpillar, blue phone. This kid hasn't had to clean up his room in years. This is the ideal kid's room, okay? I'd have killed for something like this. Hell, I'd kill for something like this now. Halfway through in at number 5, Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex is a entertainment complex owned by Fazbear Entertainment, as well as FNAF Security Breach's primary setting. This pizzeria's mascot is Glamrock Freddy this time, and has a glam rock band, which is Glamrock Freddy, Chica, Montgomery Gator, and Roxanne Wolf. The pizzeria also houses these staff bots, as well as a Moondrop / Sunny Drop animatronic, Music Man, and Music Man Spider. Oh. God, I hate those things. Hey kids, do you want pizza? Well, Fazbear Entertainment has spared no expense developing the world's most extreme family fun center. It's literally a mall. Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex. At 3 stories tall, it's the flashiest, raddest, rockingest, safest pizzeria the universe has ever seen. Of course, Freddy and the band are excited to meet you, utilizing the latest in animatronic technology. You can actually party with the stars themselves. So, on your next birthday, let Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex make you a superstar. I think we all know why I want this place to be real. Okay, it's just cool. Okay, I have to admit, it's pretty cool. And laser tag. And at 4, Jeff's Pizza. Jeff's Pizza is a pizzeria from the Fazbear Frights universe that appears in Into the Pit and the epilogue of Gumdrop Angel. Oswald describes the pizzeria as a very weird place. The rundown restaurant has pale yellow walls, tons of unused floor space, and lots of unused electrical outlets along the base of the walls. On the far wall is a small stage and an empty dance floor. The vinyl on both seats has been repaired with duct tape, plastic letters have fallen off the menu board above the counter, and in the right back corner of the pizzeria is a large ball pit surrounded by yellow netting. It looked like it hadn't been cleaned in years. A sign that reads "Do not use" is attached to the rope. The red, green, and blue plastic balls are faded in color and strangely sickly, but Oswald jumps in it anyway and was time warped to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza after using the restaurant's ball pit, and does this multiple times. And in the 8th book's epilogue, Detective Everett Larson searches it to investigate the mystery about what's going on, and he finally comes across Jeff's Pizza and is handed the keys by Jeff to enter. He hesitantly enters the ball pit and notices that the balls looked exactly like visions that he'd had previously. And he looks closer at the plastic balls and notices that old blood is covering them. And he collects some samples before leaving. But I feel like this place is so run down that the food's gotta be great. So I kinda want it. Getting close to the end, at number 3, Chica. While it may seem counterintuitive for me not to want Chica to be real, I think it's probably best if she isn't. You see, I have this perfect scenario in my head that works well enough that I'm satisfied with the story that I've concocted about the relationship between Chica and I. However, if it was real, that would first make all of the things even worse than they already are, in the sense that I'd be talking about a real thing and not a video game character. And then I'd have the awkward moment of her or her creator possibly knowing that I've said all these things. She'd know if her AI was good enough, but the creator would definitely know. And let's be honest, things would not play out like I say they would play out if Chica was real, okay? I wouldn't have all the attention, she wouldn't be chasing me, plus she's a robot and that's probably sad. We all think the movie Her is incredibly cringe, right? I feel like that's a general consensus. Well, if Chica was real, I would be dangerously close to living that reality. But this way, it's harmless fun. If she was real, it wouldn't be. Could a robot sue me? Her creator could. Penultimately, in number 2, Springtrap. It's pretty universally known that FNAF 3 is one of the easier FNAF games, with only one animatronic that can really kill you. If you just juggle in between a couple rooms, you'll be overall able to survive fairly easy. But while some consider this game to be scary, overall it's one of the least scary of all, and that's thanks to Springtrap. Springtrap's jump scare in this game is actually the worst jump scare in the series, having the only real scare factor being the sound that plays along with it. But as for the actual model, he just moves towards you a little bit, and then that's it. There was also an interview with Daco as a reward for him beating 50-20 mode, where Scott said that he was actually going to end the series after FNAF 3, but the community's disappointment with the Springtrap jump scare caused him to make the 4th game with the Nightmare animatronics. The interview is available for you to listen to online on Daco's channel, so don't go code telling me that I'm incorrect without watching it, alright? Because he says it, or at least, at the very least, implies that this is true. It's been a while since I watched it, so I can't remember exactly, but no matter what, if Springtrap was real, that would also mean that Afton is real. And you know what? I don't want to deal with that. So yeah, he's my number 2. And finally, in at number 1, the Nightmares. I think that if this was really meant to be a horror series, which it is, the Nightmare animatronics should be everywhere. Honest, they are absolutely terrifying. The normal animatronics aren't really all that scary. The scariest part about those games, like with the Springtrap jump scares, the sound that plays with the animatronic jump scares. But the Nightmares are truly terrifying, and one of the reasons that I don't want to play FNAF 4 or the Night Terror levels of Help Wanted. These things are so horrifying, but also iconic, especially since they're the reason there was a FNAF movie. And like, my nightmares are already screwed up enough, alright? Especially with all the things that I've seen looking up FNAF, alright? It's not your typical nightmare, I'll tell you that. But if they were real, and I actually had to defend my room against these animatronics, I don't think that I would. I think that I would just let it happen, because you know what, that's too stressful for me, and I'm kind of over it. So, yeah. Glad these aren't real. So there's always been this desire from the community for a real Freddy Fazbear's, and it's been present since the first game. Because for some reason, they all think that it's a good idea to have a restaurant whose fictional series is built around the murder of unknowing kids to have a real world counterpart. And while I do believe that it would make an incredible amount of money, and it could be an outlet for Scott to divulge some more lore to us, there are plenty of sick people out there. So sick in fact that they might just want to recreate the games and may just take on the role of William Afton. And plenty of people have said that they're willing to die at a real Freddy Fazbear's as long as they get to contribute to making the FNAF story real. And that's honestly probably why Scott has at one point said that he didn't want to make one. But is this really the case? Has Scott just ignored the massive opportunity he has in front of him in the form of a real Freddy Fazbear's? Well, maybe not, but it's definitely not going to happen anytime soon. Let me explain. We know how dedicated Scott is to dates, both in-game and IRL, when releasing or talking about his games. He released FNAF 2 87 days after the first, like how we were all focused on the bite of 87 from the first game. Any date that he has put in the series has been solid, and even if things are changing, he always stuck to the bite of 87 and the bite of 83. Dates have always been important to Scott. And as any fan of the series that has at least tried their hand at their own timeline can tell you, FNAF 3 takes place 30 years in the future. In fact, the events of FNAF 3 take place in around 2023. And while that's quite the coincidence in-game, because like 30 years in 2023, I don't know why I think there's a coincidence, I think just maybe because they both have 3s. Anyway, the thought is that perhaps, while we may not get a real Freddy Fazbear's this year or the next, that 2023 is a possibility for when a real Freddy Fazbear's or even a real Fazbear Frights could open. I mean, if he started planning now, it would definitely take a while, right? Hell, maybe he's already started planning, but now he has to wait because of COVID, or he's just planning on opening it up in 2023. And by Fazbear Frights, I mean the location of the third FNAF game, not the book series. And I mean, they are going to need a set for the upcoming FNAF movie, whenever it ends up going out, so maybe this is all just getting us prepared for a real FNAF. I mean, there was that Nicolas Cage FNAF movie ripoff that I'm sure was just a cash grab trying to capitalize on the FNAF movie hype before the actual FNAF movie came out. But could this be what Scott was planning from the beginning? Getting everyone hyped for the possibility of a real location, or what a real location would look like in his mind with the movie and the books which expand on the lore, because he was planning to open one for 2023 at the same time that Fazbear Frights would have opened in the FNAF universe. It would make sense, especially for Scott. And he's really running out of ways to give us more lore hints at this point. He's already released 3 full novels along with like 9 books that all have 3 shorter stories inside. And those, and especially the Fazbear Frights books, yeah, don't think I didn't notice the name, all had insane lore clues that helped us distinguish parts of the series that we've been previously confused about. Like how William had survived being in a blocked off room for 30 years without food or water because he was possessed by a kid. It also explains how he survived the fire from FNAF 3 and FNAF 6, and how he managed to get a hard drive in order to possess it before FNAF VR so it could get scanned into the game and then he would become basically immortal. But now we've seen source code being used as a clue, the names of photo files that we've had to access with Notepad being a clue, audio files, voice actor listings. Hell, at one point I decoded the name of a color and how it relates to the Emily family as a clue. Not to mention the countless hours of searching through all the games and then the logbook and oh my god. And yet still nobody has figured out FNAF 4. There aren't many new things he could do to bring us innovative ways for hints, unless that's what this place would be for. And he used this place as an ARG of sorts, where you can get lore clues and maybe even some answers to things like FNAF 4, or even who caused the bite of 87. So we can have a definitive answer instead of being stuck on either Mangle or Toy Chica or Golden Freddy. Hell, pull a WandaVision and base the series off a new decade each week so we can actually be there for the bite of 87 when it takes place and then gets shut down and then it reopens the next week as a new decade. Huh? And for those people saying Scott already said he wouldn't do it, first of all, people change their mind all the time, whether the reason is financial or not, and this place would be a huge success, especially after Chuck E. Cheese closed over like 30 locations. The timing couldn't be better at this point, honestly. The big problem with this is the danger, and while I'm sure Scott would have as many security measures as he could, we need to remember what the story of the games is. It's about kids dying in these restaurants, and by one of the creators of the restaurants no less. I'm sure that Scott doesn't want to end up like Henry. These issues only heighten when you look at the discussions on this. I've seen comments on our videos talking about how they'd be happy to get stuffed inside of Freddy, and how they'd just be happy to die in Freddy Fazbear's. I'm not even going to make a joke about how you would rather want to be stuffed into Toy Chica, but also the comments about how they want to kill someone in a FNAF location, or how they want someone to kill someone in a FNAF location. No. Or how they want someone to go missing and the story of the games to be real. Look, I know you guys love the game, okay? I love it too. The story is incredible and cryptic in all the best ways. But what the hell? Like comments from the last video talking about what could be in like a real FNAF. Someone had commented, bro, if this became a thing, I would want to get murdered so I can possess a suit. That would be so epic. Ah, yes. No. It wouldn't be epic because you'd be dead. Possession isn't a real thing in the real world, okay? And even if it was, we don't know how it works. It's not like if there's a real world version of FNAF, that agony will be what determines you possessing something, okay? If possession was real, it wouldn't be something that's simple and it wouldn't be something you can control. And at that point, if you want to be murdered, it's not murder. Okay? It's self-assisted murder. Because, you know, if I say the actual word, YouTube's gonna flag this video. But that wouldn't cause you agony. You'd be happy to die. It wouldn't even work in the FNAF universe sense. But it's reasons like those that will ultimately get Scott to shut down this idea permanently. And even if they're meant as jokes, he probably wouldn't want to take the chance because, well, they may not all be jokes. And if anyone got hurt or worse because of something he opened, honestly, I don't think any of us would be able to forgive ourselves if we were the cause of that. Like if we were in Scott's shoes and we opened a Fazbear restaurant and then someone ended up getting killed because of the games and the restaurant, I wouldn't be able to handle that, I know that. Even for asking for it so much that he felt like he had to do it. So stop saying crazy shit like that. You know for a fact that you don't want to get killed at the place, even if it's what the original games do or whatever. That's not fun, it's not cool, don't say it. It won't help the situation. So if you really want a real FNAF, stop saying it so you can get killed there, okay? I can't believe that I had to say that.